Hey everybody, I hope you're staying warm on this Friday morning. That wind rattling on my window this morning was sounded quite cold. Makes it even colder than the degrees that it says on the thermometer. So I thought I'd give you a flavor just basically of now that session it has begun, what that actually means. The early days of session are dominated by committee work. Committees getting started, particularly setting the table and deciding which legislative priorities they're going to take up this year, at least to have a conversation, not all of which will make it out of committee, and even the ones that make it out of committee, not all of them will get passed into legislation. But that's what dominates schedule, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means for us in finance. We're on this time of year, it's mostly committee work and very little work as an entire body. That said, we did meet as an entire body this week to do some things that were sort of urgent from a timeliness perspective, like the reappointment of judges, and also urgent in the case of heating assistance. We have a program that's known by the acronym LIHEAP, which stands for Low Income Heating Assistance Program, that ran out of resources. Due partly to federal resources declining. So we, in a strongly bipartisan proposal on Wednesday when we were in session, we proposed we passed and the governor signed adding more resources to that program to ensure that people who need heating assistance will be able to get it this year. And we'll be keeping an eye on that to make sure that it's adequate to help those who need the help. So those are the kinds of things that, in an early session will take on urgent matters that need to be done in a timely way, like those kinds of issues. And the rest of it is committee work. So what that means for finance, which is fairly typical, is that we have 2 early committee meetings at which we raise concepts, or we raise some of our own ideas in finance. Some of them come from the governor's budget. Some of them come from individual legislators, informal requests. Some of them are proposed bills that are filed officially in the system. They come from all kinds of places. And so we all sit and go through them and figure out which ones we're going to hear this year. And again, that some of those are the hearing, giving them an airing, and a public hearing means that you want to start a conversation that maybe is a long-term conversation, and that this isn't really something we expect to do this year, but we want to be able to learn about it over time, and having hearings and enabling that is important. So we had our first committee meeting earlier this week, at which we raised about 18 concepts, and then we will have our second committee meeting at which we will raise the rest of the concepts next week. So what that means for this weekend is that we recently had the deadline for legislators' proposed bills. The deadline was the end of last week, but it takes a while for the bills to make their way through the system, in part because this year in the short session, the rules are different and legislators are constrained in the kinds of bills they're allowed to raise. We're much more limited in the even years, which are the long session. Legislators can raise anything they want. Doesn't mean it'll get through, but you can put on paper anything you like. Not this year. This year we're very constrained. So there's a filtration system that rejects a whole lot of bills, and then they get assigned to committees. And it takes about a week for that process really to be fully done. And now I think I have a full list of the proposed bills that have been sent to the Finance Committee. So that's my weekend reading material, is to go through all of those and figure out which ones are repeat proposals, which ones we've heard before, which ones are, good ideas, which ones are important to a number of legislators, which one's just the request of one individual legislator, all those kinds of things. So I hope maybe in front of the fireplace, I'll be reading through proposed bills. So again, most of the time I'm in Hartford these days. Today, I'm very happy that I'm not in Hartford, but it means that I think I will be doing some Zoom meetings from my car. So, because I have some in-district meetings and a lot of Zoom calls. So I have a meeting this morning on artificial intelligence and how it's might be being used in government, maybe with respect to auditing, a meeting with the Jewish Federation, a caucus meeting regarding bonding requests, which is requests from legislators across the state to use the state's borrowing capacity to fund projects. I have an environment committee meeting, which I'll be doing by Zoom because I'm not in Hartford today. I'm going to have a meeting in Norfolk midday. I have a caucus meeting with the Energy and Technology Committee to discuss that committee's priorities for the year. I'm meeting with the Secretary of State to discuss her priorities. And I'm going to a retirement party this evening for the head of Brooker Memorial, who's Brooker Memorial is in Torrington. It's a organization that works on children's health issues. I think their mission is prepare children for lifelong success through education, health services, family support, and programs of excellence. So it's a great organization, serves the entire region, and I'll end my day honoring her. So it's just a flavor of what is what's on for today, and a lot of it will be in my car. Hope you have a great weekend. Stay warm and enjoy the extra day on Monday if you have a holiday.